and brew. Okay, I was just going to do it like real loosely, talking about.
Good evening and welcome to.
Okay, so this video is literally called.
Good evening and welcome to Wolfpack Adventure.
No,
Serious,
we've got to be
listen
serious now, because this is actually something every single mountain biker should pay attention to and should have to make them perform better and ride better on a bike. No, legitly though. Today we're in Manchester, and today we've been down at Aston Hill. Sorry, we've got a big. He's gonna knock this. No! His
like,
camera's gonna get
guys.
knocked. We've got a big white German Shepherd who is behind the camera. He's playing with his toy. Anyway, serious face. We've been at Aston Hill today. I had my first ever coaching session, skills coaching session with Ian Warby at Firecrest Mountain Bikes. It was game changing. Kai's back again. This is like a serious video.
Hi, come here.
No, the camera's gonna fall over. If he comes round,
Come here, he's gentle. Look.
the camera's gonna fall off his table.
Sit. Right up. So you had a coaching session today?
I did. I had a coaching session. We went to Aston Hill. It was ridiculously hot. I thought I'd make a cool video on why every mountain biker should look to get some kind of mountain bike coaching, whatever skill level they're at. Like,
Can I just say it was my idea?
It was Amanda's
I told him
idea.
to go get coaching because I think when you're really good at something, you don't necessarily realise that somebody else could probably see what you're doing wrong.
that's exactly what a coach is there for, isn't it? I feel that with my skill, with my riding at the minute, I've kind of on a plateau, and I've not moved from that plateau for a while now. So Amanda suggested jumping in some coaching, because obviously a coach can break down and see what you're doing right, and more importantly where there's opportunities for you to improve, or not necessarily what you're doing wrong, but yeah. So you've been riding now for what,
3.5 years.
3.5 years, and how many coach sessions have you had?
I think 6.
So Amanda's had like 6-7 coach sessions from different coaches. Like, don't know, like what drew you to get, like, why did you get coaching in the first place? Like, because you got it right from the start.
The first time I
literally.
got coaching because Alex recommended it. So I got coaching from Alex Bond, and then I got another coaching session with him with a group for like drops and just drops really, with a group of girls, which was really fun. I've had 1 or 2 coaching sessions that I didn't click with somebody after that, where I just didn't really understand what they were saying. But then I had a coaching session with Lynn Armstrong, and through her I met Jess Stone. So now I only get coaching from Jess Stone because she like totally gets the way my head works,
Yeah.
and I actually make loads of progress every session
Yeah.
that we have.
And you always prefer female coaches, right?
Yeah, well, in my experience, just I know I've been very lucky with the female coaches I've had, and I think that plays a role as well. So they get the way I think, or the female mindset maybe, but also Lynn and Jess are both very, very good coaches. Like, you can tell just the way they approach stuff. So.
Yeah. And I was obviously coaching with a guy called Ian, so I've got nothing to compare us against. But at the end of the day, like, I don't know if it's just mountain biking or like there's other sports as well that are like this. But from my perspective, my opinion, there's only like a select few people at the top of the sport who have, you know, they've got coaches for nutrition, fitness, strength training, everything else but the actual skill of bike riding, which is what they're there to essentially do. Some professional athletes do have coaches. For my opinion, a lot of them don't, which is a bit strange, because if you look at some other sports, like take for instance, I always use the example golf, like Tiger Woods, he has a coach. It's not necessarily that this coach is better than Tiger Woods at golf, but it's the fact that the coach has a really good skill of watching what the athlete is doing, or the rider, whatever it is doing, and is able to break down like what the rider is and isn't doing, and then give that information back to the rider in a way that they can process, understand, and change what they're doing.
Yeah, so one thing I said to Alex, and he was like, oh, what should I ask to work on? And I was like, well, chances are if it's a really good coach,
I'm sweating.
it doesn't matter what you ask to work on, they're still going to tell you what they think you need to work on. So I remember when I went to Jess and I was like, I wanted to do jumps. And she was literally like, oh, yeah, sweet, but no, we're going to work on like position, because that'll make everything better and you'll find jumping easier as well. So we need to work on that first. And I told Alex that's probably what would happen, that the coach would find something that was actually the root of why.
That's exactly what happened. Like Ian Warby said, what do you want to work on, like real loosely? And I know for a fact that the weakness for me that I think at the minute is holding me back is carrying speed through corners. I have this real inherent bad habit of braking in the turns and then obviously losing momentum out of the turn. So I was like, well, I think I need to go and work on turns, carrying more speed out corners. So he said, okay, cool, fine. We went off, we did a 3-hour coaching session, and we barely touched on actually working specifically on berms and not braking in turns. We broke everything back to the basics and started from the ground up. One of the key takeaways for me was looking way ahead down the trail, which actually then in turn helped me ride the trail better. And I've only had a 3-hour session, so obviously I need to go away and practice things, but just in those 3 hours of me consciously working on looking further ahead down the trail and picking up visual cue points, that actually helped my overall speed in the bike, especially in turns and other bits of the trail.
Yeah, I'd be interested to say why you picked.
Why did I pick Ian?
Because obviously, you're coming. It doesn't. For me, you'd think as a beginner, it doesn't really matter who you pick as a coach to start out with. You just need to find someone.
You just need a good person to
click with. But what you obviously had to spend a lot longer picking a coach because you needed someone who you would take seriously.
Yeah. When I was looking for a coach, I was looking into there's a lot of people, but like, what I didn't want to do is pick somebody to coach me who I had a good connection with, because I know plenty of people in mountain biking who are mountain bike coaches, but they're my friends. So I thought it'd be best to have somebody that I'd never met before and had no relationship with or no relation to, whatever. Just because I thought my ego or like that friendship connection thing would get in the way of me actually learning from that person, or they would be influenced by me and coach me differently. So I basically picked Ian because I put a post on my Instagram story asking who would people recommend, and this guy's name came up quite a bit, and obviously I'd never heard of him, and thought I'd just give it a shot. So,
whereas for me, I think I've realised that because I have a bit of social anxiety and I can't always make my body do what I want it to do, especially when I'm really nervous and anxious in people's presence. So for me, I've realised it's better to be comfortable around someone. So I guess like Lynn and Jess, for me, they're just I quite look up to them, but I also feel comfortable in their presence and comfortable enough to like try stuff, but still a little bit on edge to like take it seriously. Like it's that right balance of like respect but also comfort, I guess. Like they're not way so like amazing in my head that I can't even speak in front of them type thing. Like I don't have like, what's it called, like I'm not starstruck, but I'm also
not shy.
Well, I was about to say like, well, I can't really be shy around Jess anymore since I accidentally like farted really loudly in front of her, so that kind of broke any boundary that I have there. But I guess so. Now I've had a few sessions. Now I just like, I know it works, so I really want to try hard to do what she says.
Yeah.
So I guess like now for me, it's just sticking with the one coach, maybe every now and then listening to other people's advice, but realistically just sticking with one coach, trying to do what they say instead of trying to take on everything that everybody says, because I find that can be quite confusing, especially when someone like teaches something a completely different way to what another coach has taught it. I don't know, I think in this case to stick to just listening to one coach that you get on with, that you click with.
There's more than one way to skin a cat in there, really, just who clicks with you.
Yeah, and trying to listen to like loads of different voices, especially when not all those voices might be right. It can get like, especially really confusing. A good example is a lot of people always tend to tell me to try things faster, whereas a good coach will probably try and get you to do it slower. And make you work for it. So
obviously you go to coaches for different reasons and they help you depending on where you are in your journey, but
I can go through all my coaches and tell you my takeaways.
Let's just focus on Jess then. So you went to Jess and you were asking her like you wanted to get better at jumps.
Yeah.
But in turn you didn't do really any jumps, did you?
Well, no, we did a lot of jumps, but we also did like an hour of position.
Yeah, but which then helped
Yeah, and then my jumping style automatically already got better.
Yeah.
And then from there we could work further on jumps. There's other like literally with Jess I like learn loads, but then if I go backwards down coaches, so from Albon I learned like literally to go out by myself and just practice. Like I am probably quite similar to him in that I can go out and practice the same thing for 2 hours, whereas a lot of people wouldn't be able to do that, but that's how I learn, and I just go out by myself and practice what I've been told to practice. My main takeaway from last year's, I did a jumping session in Morzine with a guy, and I didn't, like, he's a nice guy, but I didn't really like click with his coaching style. I didn't really feel like I learned much. However, I did tell Alex I have one takeaway from it. He taught me how to skid.
Can skid now.
He was trying to teach me how to do flat corners.
That's why we've got no budget left for tyres this year.
He just taught me how to do skid.
Man is just locking the back, just the back brake up all the time.
No, like we purposely learnt skids because we were learning about leaning the bike and stuff, and he thought, oh, you never do skids as you kid? I'm like, no, because I didn't ride as a kid. So we had to spend like a good 20 minutes learning skids first. Lynn was basically, I learned a lot about staying composed on steep stuff with her. We only did steep stuff, so but because it was a safe environment, I really trusted Lynn as someone who coached for a long time. I was able to stay composed on steep scary stuff because I trusted her. I trusted when she said I could do stuff. I guess another takeaway from her was that I don't have to do something if I've basically made a thing about it. Like she didn't make me do this route section because I like came up to it a few times and then my head just was like, no. She's like, all right, we'll go away and do a different thing. That was a big takeaway. And I probably learned then to find a coach I really trusted because I learned way more feeling I was in a safe, comfortable environment.
My main takeaways from the coach session I had today was, obviously I went in thinking, I need to work on my cornering speed, corner efficiency, but Ian brought everything back to basics, and we actually worked on, we started first working on pumping, we did like a range of really basic things, but it got me thinking. My brain was literally on like fried after the 3 hours I had with him because I was trying to take so much on board. But the main 3 takeaway key points, actually I'll put a video on the screen now so you can see some of the videos that Ian took.
So this is one of the bits of trails we were working on. I was trying to work on opening the turn up, so riding a higher line into corners. As you can see on that second clip, when I slow it down, you can actually see my bike getting bucked over the roots and off the little drops. This is the second clip, so we did some refining. As you can see, I've got a lot stronger body position as I go in through this section, especially as you slow it down over the roots and off the drops. You can see my body is really tall, really just absorbing those bumps and then off the drop.
So that was the first video. The next video is literally working on looking further down the trail. So
another section trail we worked on, and basically this we were primarily focusing on visual cues looking out the corners. And as you can see on this first clip, I was looking too far at the floor, which really did throw the next couple of turns out when I rode around them. I came in with a too tight line and didn't carry good speed. The second clip though, you can actually see the moment when I look down the trail. You can see my head move, and you can see how that affects the way I move the bike into the turn.
So I had to create like visual cues of things to look at down the trail, because my problem was like I was looking like way too close to my front wheel, which was obviously impairing how I was riding a whole track, say. We started making visual cues. Sometimes you could make cues off looking at the trail, but if it was like blind and you couldn't see things, he got me to make virtual cues, which were like, it could be looking at a fallen down tree that is like off the trail but in the general direction of where the trail's going, kind of thing. And we'd almost work down the trail like if you imagine a bouncy, this is the analogy Ian used, you imagine a bouncy ball going down the trail, you'd be picking all these different virtual cues all the way down, which would get you looking consciously down the trail. And you can see from the video now that just altering the way that my head looks alters the way that I ride and move the bike around in the corners, making me more efficient in my turns and on just overall on the trail.
A big takeaway for people watching this video should think is, just because someone is a really good rider and really fast doesn't mean there isn't things that they're doing wrong and there isn't things that they should change and work on. As well as, just because you see a beginner doing something wrong, because they're a beginner, you feel like they don't know they're doing it wrong. That could be a complete misconception. So you look at me, I could be doing something something really bad, but just assuming I don't know I'm doing that and have taken steps to get a coach and consciously change it, that's also bad. So that's like the best way to explain it. So if you see someone doing something wrong, doesn't mean that they're not consciously trying to get their body to do it. But that's why we need a coach, because they help you get your body listening to you, because just knowing you're doing something wrong doesn't necessarily make you do it right.
Could be the simplest things though. Like you could take away from a coaching session, you could take away one simple cue that changes your whole body position, but then that changes your whole riding experience and your performance on a bike just from a couple of different cues.
So for my thing, Jess is always shouting at me to straighten my legs when I'm jumping, when I'm riding. So literally all I do all day when I'm riding is practicing keeping my elbows out instead of just bend them out, and straightening my legs, and that's in everything. And
that's kind
even though there's loads of other things probably going wrong in my riding, that's all we're working on fixing right now. I'm forgetting about everything else and just trying to do those two things, because you can't make your body change everything in just a year, or it takes practice and time, and it takes shouting at your own body in your head to make you do it. It doesn't just come from one person saying, oh, you should do this.
Yeah, that's kind of what Ian taught me as well. He called it the gate. So he was always talking about, if you imagine a closed and open gate, if there's a garden gate swinging closed and open, you pretty much don't really allow what comes in, what goes out. But obviously if you have a closed gate with like a bolt lock or whatever on it, you can kind of like decide what comes in, what comes out. So he was relating that to a body position, which was basically, I'll put a video on the screen now and you can see the closed gate, which is basically where you create a solid position on your bike when you're riding and you're quite tall on your bike, and you create like your arms and your legs aren't locked out, but they're like kind of just like, they're not straight, but they're not like real close to your chest. That they create like a triangle from your elbow to your wrist to your shoulder, and again from your knee to your foot to your hip, which is like a real solid position. And if you watch some of the videos that I'll be hopefully putting on the screen now, you'll see that, like, you'll see me like actively trying to put that into practice when I'm riding, which again, I've only had a 3-hour coaching session, so I guess I need to go off and practice, which is what we're going to probably go and do tomorrow. Actually, we're going to go ride tomorrow. Probably I think I'll just be focusing on the skills that I learned yesterday. I'm actually quite excited.
I'm excited because I'm literally going to focus on keeping my legs straight when I jump, because I like to like bend them and suck everything up. So that's what I'm going to work on tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll leave the names and the web links, web addresses to contact these people for coaching below if you want to check any of them out.
But yeah, highly recommend if you're a mountain biker. If you're doing anything in life you want to progress in, you should just get a coach. Like, you get a coach in business, nutrition, health, fitness. Why not the skill you're working on, like mountain biking? Seems really silly when you think about it. But yeah, after today anyway, I was like to Amanda, we need to go outside now and film this so I can like start working on the video, because I'm that excited to tell people they need to get a coach.
I just like being right.
Amanda just likes being right because she suggested I get a coach. Anyway, that's the end of this video. If you're not already subscribed, click the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below if you've had a coaching session. I'd be keen to know what your takeaways were from a coaching session.
And who you recommend.
And who you'd recommend, so we can all like make